gives you a good representation on the board. And for those of you who haven't been following the communications, our new president was announced last week. I was very keen to get a client side. I'd really rather like another female, because not enough females at the top, I feel, in certain places. Thank you, in the research business. So I'm very, very pleased that Dan Thompson, the CEO of the Camelot Group of companies, has agreed to be our new president. And equally pleased because she does run quite an inventive and professional research and insight team at Camelot. So they are more than willing, surprisingly, actually, and also as great to have somebody who understands research on the board. So that's all very good news. And just this morning, and you'll forgive me, those of you who know him, I can't pronounce his name, I got news of our new patron. Our new patron is the Worldwide Vice President of CMI of Unilever, Stan. They call him Stan the Man because it stands Satharanam. I think I got that right. But he came from Coca-Cola in the US and is talking to us now about all the ways that Unilever ought to be putting their money where their mouth is in the UK and supporting the research sector in the UK, which I think is really, really good news. So I hope that some of you will be at a conference next week. We've got Martin Sorrell will be making a keynote speech, and we do have 4 or 5 other patrons, including Peter York, Roisin Donnelly of Procter & Gamble, Bob Worcester, will all be wandering around at some stage as delegates. So they're all turning up, which is equally nice. Well, I think so anyway. Right, do I just press... Yes, I do. Good, right. So what am I going to talk to you about today? This is so good, isn't it? Standards. Good coming with it. So what are we doing about widening access to membership, the CPD scheme, and working with what we collectively call special interest groups? I don't think that's an acronym that is rude to anybody. Have to be a bit careful about acronyms these days. But, and you'd be surprised. Rita Clifton, we were talking about changing the name of MRS potentially because we want to widen the numbers of people who may want to be involved, and I'm afraid Rita Clifton, brand guru extraordinaire, came up with every acronym that made the word penis eventually. So just remember that brand gurus aren't all they seem to be. It's a bit like Biz that came up with the same sort of thing when they rebranded last time around. I think that's critical to this, and I think having had the great honour of sitting through the committee meeting today, I think you wouldn't disagree with me. We really need to position ourselves as not a collective of methodologies, not just a collective of a bunch of clever people, but actually as a major service industry that creates and generates creative and intellectual capital on which UK competitiveness is based. And I like this, I would, because I invented it, but I've tried it out with a few clients. It asks more questions and helps supply more solutions than any other business. Get that, consultancies, because actually this is what you guys all do. And we are and remain a world leader in this, and luckily the export market this past 2 quarters has shown an upturn, which I'm quite pleased about, because it's good to see something in the right direction. And MRS very much believes that we're about representing and promoting this sector as a whole, and really making sure that if you are going to do and talk about research worldwide, you talk about it with a UK cultural bias. And this is, after all, is what Unilever is after. And certain of the other big multinationals, one of the reasons we're so big is we exported ourselves with these people, and they still do a lot of work and spend a lot of money. Does this resonate, or am I talking completely out of my house? Is this the sort of thing that you'd be happy to sign up to being a member of? Because we would like to go out there and own this consumer understanding space, because marketing doesn't do it anymore, if it ever did. And certainly no other service sector that I can think of does it anymore. And so I think this is a gap that we could own and actually help us bring in more people who are doing different things but calling it consumer understanding. And if we don't frankly move forward, there isn't enough momentum to keep a healthy industry going. So that really does mean that, and this isn't an exhaustive list, is that what we really want to do is bring everything together in something we're calling the customer knowledge economy, because we know that we can sell this to County Hall and everything else. And this belief that so much in terms of digital, in terms of all the work that the Advertising Association is doing, rests on this customer knowledge economy and rests on something that we create. So one of the things that we wanted to do as part of that, I think I actually cut this down so you guys wouldn't get bored with me. I have found, I found two great quotes that I'd like you all to think about and rally around. One is from Tony Benn, and he actually came to conference and he said that research is the way people can talk to power. And that, I think, is a very, very, I call it a reason to get out of bed in the morning. It's really very good. And the other is from the Delphi Group. And the Delphi Group, for those of you who know it, is the group we've put together to try and be a think tank for the industry so that we've got stuff to say to the threats. And the first thing we've been looking at is the wider use of research. We're calling it, I think, from creative to commercial capital. And there's a quote in there from Aviva, which says that research is what makes us do what we should do and stops us doing merely what we would like to do. And again, I think this is a hugely motivating, it's probably nicked from someone else, but I still like it. So one of the things about widening and enabling some of this vision to take place has been to sort of simplify the way we in MRS talk to and communicate with this wider community. And we really, really, really want to start talking the language of the people we're talking to, not our own individual vocabulary. And we want to link that to something which we think is really important in the standards debate, and that is continuous professional development. Because we think people with standards have continuous professional development at the heart of what they do. And certainly it's a lot of industries talk about now. So as you know, we've got quite a complex grade structure until, thanks to those of you who were at the EGM, until the AGM voted a change through. So we have fellows, we have full members, and this is something I was saying to your committee, I always have a problem with the fact that the highest grade is called a member, because I'm a member of all sorts of things, and actually all I do for that is pay me check over. It doesn't say that it's anything special. Then we go to the wonderfully named associate members and the even more wonderfully named affiliate members. Now, I can tell you that the membership team have a slight difficulty making a distinction between associates and affiliates, and certainly I know a number of people who are quite offended who think that they are quite substantial budget holders and we'll only make them associates or affiliates, and it just seems a bit wrong. And there are several members of leading lights in the research industry who've never made it above affiliate because they, quite frankly, they couldn't be asked to fill the forms in. And that equally sounds a bit wrong if some of your leading agency people are only at the lowest grade of membership. So what we will be doing, not going to change the fellows grade, you're okay, but we are looking at how we can widen access to that fellows grade. So the fellows themselves are having a look at what the criterion should be. And we're going to create a certificated grade. So all of you who are full members, MMRS, will automatically transfer into this certificated grade and will, when you renew, get an online downloadable certificate to print if you're into that sort of thing. It's always nice to have something. And then everyone else is going to be a member. So that means that we've simplified everything, we've made it much more obvious, and we've stopped trying to differentiate what the market, frankly, wasn't differentiating for us. So, fellows and honorary grades remain exactly as they are. So if you're a fellow, you stay as an MRS. Full members will become certified members, you will be CMRS. And associates will become MMRS. So it's much, much simpler. We will be promoting this, and we will be making sure that as part of our communications, people know that there is a difference. Now, we did look at chartering, but our members, the people who responded to our survey, were hugely lukewarm about the subject. And because that will take 2 years, and because it will take a lot of time and money, that is not gone completely, but we're not proposing to do that at the moment. This is the step that we have taken. So,
what would chartering have involved? What was the idea?
well, it was looking, as we did with this, at other professional bodies and saying which are the ones we would like to be grouped with, and most of them tend to be chartered in some form or other. You have to go and get Privy Council permission to be chartered. You actually have to have CPD in place, which we don't have. We will have. We didn't have, obviously. And there are loads of other hoops. You have to employ somebody who knows how to get through this process. So it was a case of saying, well, if the CIM can blooming well be chartered, I don't see why we can't be, and we want to be in, and you know, the accountancy bodies and everybody else. We'd like to be in that area. You can have a crest and all that sort of stuff. But frankly, let's do what we can to differentiate this grade now, and the certifications seem to be a good halfway house, and we're in control of this.
What would chartering have meant for the individual member to become a chartered market researcher?
Provided we finessed it well with the Privy Council, full members wouldn't have seen any difference. They'd become chartered members. But you know, we'd have had to find a way of also having a non-chartered grade as well. There are complications. It's not obvious, but we're going to do. I'd still like to go there eventually, because I still think it's part of this making clients feel special about who they're using. But I do think having certificated market researchers working on their business is better than just having members of the Market Research Society, because we know that they just don't know what that meant. So we think that this is a good interim proposal. What we will be doing is providing another 10 routes into certified membership. There are 5 ways you can get to be a full member at the moment. There will be another 5, and they will involve CPD. So we're not getting rid of anything, because some people, funnily enough, like coming to Vivas and like making presentations. So that's fine if that's what you're bad. Frankly, I haven't done a test since I did my driving license, and I don't really want to repeat the experience. But fine, that's on your back. But there will be these routes based on CPD. So the new routes, we will be making, still having as a core, a qualification. So qualification will be put, but you can start off with an under or postgraduate degree as usual, and then you can add 3 years of experience in a research-related role and 3 years of CPD, and that will get you there. You can use the MRS Advanced Certificate. We then reduce the amount of CPD you need to do, because obviously you've got an MRS Advanced Certificate. And for those of you in the quali area, and we were talking about this today, MRS Advanced Qualitative Practitioner Award, get that out before I've had more than one drink, Andy. Again, 2 years of CPD. We're recognising the fact that this is a professional qualification, and you've done some work to get to an advanced standard. Am I sort of boring the pants up here? We will have MRS accredited training programs. There are a number of those around. They will require slightly more CPD, because they are not at the level of the advanced certificate. And we will look at other relevant professional qualifications. And this is meant to reflect the fact that in our industry there are people who aren't are senior in the industry, they run bits of the industry, but they're not necessarily in the research sector, but we would like them in MRS. So if you've got a law degree and work in data protection, for example, that might be something that we would then consider as relevant. Seems a bit odd. I mean, we did have a guy from Google who had an amazing postgraduate degree in from America, and because it didn't quite fit in our narrow bands, we told him he could only be an affiliate. And no, I want the Google people in, please. Of course, with something like the introductory certificate, then it would be more experience required and more CPD required. Now, we're in the business at the moment of actually allocating CPD hours to absolutely, or minutes in some cases, to absolutely everything, so that we can actually say when we launch this, and CPD will be launched on April the 2nd. I never launch anything on April the 1st, it makes me feel silly. Everything that we can possibly have, and certainly in-house, will have allocated minutes and hours against it.
Could I ask you, say there a research-related role? I mean, most of us are probably self-employed doing our own research thing. Does that actually count as a research-related role, or does one have to be a research manager in a corporation somewhere?
No. The ICG members would very definitely count as a research-related role. And we deliberately cast the net wide to reflect the nature of the industry. Members of the basic grade would have no formal entry requirement. What's important is that we are opening up voting rights. So up to now, affiliates could not vote on they couldn't vote at all actually. They couldn't stand for various, for a number of things. This time we are saying everybody who is a member or a certificated member or a fellow can vote. However, we are going to reserve some boards, so we're going to reserve the standards boards to CMRS and fellows, because we think that's right. And we will be ensuring that there is a spread of members and certificated members and fellows on the main board as well. So we ensure that the core standards are maintained, and those that need to look at standards and discipline are actually the people best qualified to do that. I think that is absolutely critical. But I don't know about you guys, I don't think that in the 21st century we can run an organisation where you tell a bunch of people they can't vote but will have your money. I just don't think that's on. So, I don't really think I need to sell you guys CPD. We did think we were going to have to sell CPD in, because again, I'm sorry to repeat myself for those of you who were at the committee meeting, there was a CPD scheme in MRS 15 years ago. And it closed with 9 members. Ow. This will be online. There will be no excuse for not doing it, because it will be online. You can fill in your own objectives, it's all personalised to you. You can use your in-house training. But I think critically it means that if you're going through a CPD process, and most people are in the junior researchers are doing some form of CPD, then you've got a way of mirroring against what the wider industry expects and actually moving your own CPD in and using it as a core to keep going. Most importantly, it is portable. So that, this is a debate we've had with a number of clients, is that how do they know whether somebody is as good as they seem at interview? Well, actually, this sort of thing is going to help them, give them a sort of comparison. One of the reasons that the BBC asks us to do training for all their intake, and we do them the first year's training, is so that when they move on from the audiences team, which is where they all start, to another bit of the BBC, they know what standards they're at, and they know that they're talking the same language when they talk about procurement methodologies and everything else, so that they've guaranteed that sort of consistency, and I think this is part of that process. And we call ourselves a profession, guys, and frankly, if we haven't got a way of actually encouraging people to keep training, and I'm not sure that anyone will take us that seriously. Now, we're not a rich organisation, but also we're a sensible organisation, I'd like to think. So we haven't gone and invented this. We haven't gone and said we want something arcane that is just for us. What we've gone and done is talk to the HR people, looked at other continuous professional development schemes, and frankly nicked the best practice. Deborah always says borrows with pride, nicked without shame is the way I phrase it. So 1 year of continuous professional development will be 21 hours equivalent, and that's pretty darn standard. Now, it will not be compulsory for CMRS to maintain CPD in order to maintain their CMRS status. Ideally, that's where I would like to be. I would like an element of CPD to be continuous to maintain your certification. And we'll talk a bit about what counts as CPD in a minute. But frankly, I'd just rather get this in and get it working, and then let's see whether there's an appetite for that going forward. But we will be issuing you all with a reminder that you need to stay up to date when you renew, so that you won't just be allowed to wander away willy-nilly. So what will be included? If you're studying for one of our qualifications, that is included. Training courses and workshops will be included. Conferences, seminars, webinars, ditto. Members' evenings, absolutely, because part of what we want to do is make CMRS status with CPD as free as it can possibly be. So there is enough in the CPD programme that you can do it for next to nothing. So, because members' evenings, as you know, are free, a number of other things that are free, and therefore it may take you slightly longer, but you don't have to expend any money on it.
Jane, what about members' evenings run by the ICG or BIG?
I can do that. In-company development, equally, will be accredited the right in-company development. So it's not just we got a load of training, there've got to be training outcomes and assessments against it. And we're already, courtesy of this, talking to TNS, who is going to be taking a load more memberships as part of actually as accrediting their deal, which is great because we get to talk to people one-on-one, not intermediated by their management. And in answer to your question, yes, we will be accrediting suitable third-party partner organisations, so that includes ICG. But we will have, yes?
Can I ask a cheeky question and ask if I can also count the ANC conferences as well?
Sorry?
ANC conferences?
That would probably count.
That's fantastic. And CIM?
CIM, yes, I'm in talks with CIM already. Now, it's not going to all happen at once, guys, because I'm sorry, there aren't that many of them on the team. It will happen, though, and it is our intention to move, and we have moved very fast talking to ICG, and we've already talked to Aura, and we will have at least 2 company partners who will have accredited teams by the time in-house training by the time we launch, so we've proved it can work, is the aim. There will be some reading, because everyone involves reading, because we'd like you to read your IJMR and your impact, but you won't be allowed to get away with just saying, oh, I read Penthouse today. That is not acceptable. You will have to, there's a section online where you say, this is the reason I did this, this is the lessons I learned, and this is how it's applicable to my job. So you will be required to actually log and record what you've done.
So, Jane, will you be looking at including MOOCs then as well?
Sorry?
So, the mass open online courses. So, for instance, I've just completed one on creative thinking,
Yeah.
Just because obviously that would help in my job, but there are various behavioural economics that are run out of the American universities, which obviously are hugely useful, but I don't know whether you'd be looking at including any of those.
Some of them we will.
They do give certificates though, don't they?
Yes, they do, yeah.
I mean, the obvious thing about this is that we can't test everything.
Mm.
And so there will be an element of trust involved in the process, but we will audit. So we will sort of make a lightning sort of descent and say, are these things, this course X still fulfilling the criteria we require? Because we just can't audit everything. We're going to include mentoring, because we think this is quite important. So taking on mentoring is going to be part of this process. Recognising awards and looking at contribution to the industry more generally. Thank you very much.
Sorry.
No, come on. I shall ask for a note later. So, a qualification study, anything that we award, government recognised educational institutions, can't think for one at the moment, but 21 hours. So that will automatically get you your hours. Attendance at a training course, certainly in MRS 1, some third parties, so that would be where ICG might well come in, 18 hours. So this is all read-acrossable to a number of other schemes, so we're not inventing new stuff. There will be this online ability to plan your own personal development, evaluate and reflect what you've got, and to track your progress. So all of this is made possible, and the reason it's taken us a while to get there is because we needed the e-commerce tool available so that you could actually do this properly and securely online. Now, we haven't not been involving people from around the industry, as you might imagine. There's a deeply humble chap here called Ed Newton, who is one of your members, who first sort of came to us and said he'd like to be involved in the process, and actually his work has been very, very influential. So we've actually had, if you like, ICG involvement from a very early stage. So I do have to thank Ed for that, because without work like Ed, we wouldn't have got to where we do. So, please do thank him in the appropriate ICG way at some stage. We're certainly very grateful. I'm now embarrassed.
That's it, Ed. You're not in anymore.
So we're looking at relevant non-MRS provision. There you are, top of the list. Aura, BIG, AQR.
I bet she changes that slide. Yeah.
There was a time when the MRS wouldn't have bothered to put anyone on there at all.
It's true. It's true.
I also want to look at people like the APG, the British Training Group, and reach into, through the Advertising Association, into some of those associated areas. Basically, this is about widening the way we talk to people and our access to people. So there's no, inclusive is the word that we're looking for, but brackets with standards attached. Sounds like brass and obs, but you know what I mean. RSS is one, for example. We're deeply keen that people improve their statistical competencies, particularly in this world.
What are the two at the bottom?
Social research establishment, and I can't remember what the BHB are, but the SRA is the social researchers.
Yeah, I reckon that. It's that one second.
The BIA isn't one of the health ones, is it?
We could make something up, couldn't we?
I'm watching for acronymitis. That's the other problem with MRS, isn't it? You add A onto it and you get a hospital-acquired infection. Sorry, what were you?
Oh no, sorry, it is the health one, and they've already got quite exacting standards for their members.
They do. But the thing is this transferability thing, sort of. So sorry chaps, we will be allocating the hours and nobody else. We will provide a CPD badge for all of those who are accredited to use on their website. And we will communicate the awards to anyone we have accredited them. So if you've heard from somebody else that you've been accredited, it ain't true until somebody from MRS rings you up or emails you or whatever. Carry a pigeon for those of you who don't do anything else. So this will be completely in our hands and completely part of the Standards Board. The Standards Board has endorsed all of this.